Morning everybody and welcome to this week's sports podcast. It's Friday the 22nd of July 2022 and as always we've got plenty to get through today, plenty of subjects to cover. We'll start as always at Halifax Cricket League, looking back at last week's matches, looking forward to tomorrow's fixtures and then looking at how the current table stands. So without further ado, we'll look back to last week's results and we'll see that we had another victory for our league leaders Copley. They beat Triangle by 4 wickets to maintain their lead at the head of the table. In the other games, other teams that are close by, Thornton, unfortunately for Great Horton Park Chapel, demolished them by 8 wickets. We'll come on to that in a moment. Bradshaw, they beat SBCI by 67 runs. And in the other game, at the top of the table, Illingworth was surprisingly beaten by Myvenroyd, although like I say, Myvenroyd have been picking up recently. Myvenroyd beat them by 65 runs. Two other games to cover. Ludfoot, they beat Sawby Bridge by 6 wickets. Unfortunately for Sawby Bridge, they didn't score many runs again. And Booth, they beat Whalley by 41 runs. So they were the 6 games last weekend. Looking back into some more of the detail, the game between Great Horton Park Chapel and Thornton, well, Great Horton Park Chapel, unfortunately for them, they were all bowled all out for 43 due to some good bowling from Ross Parr, who took 6 for 22, and Brad Weatherhead, who took 4 for 21, all 10 wickets between the pair of them. And then Thornton knocked off the total. They got 44 just for 2 wickets, and Josh Hutchinson scored 39 out of the 44 required, yeah, that's right, and he scored 38 of the 39 runs in 7 shots. He scored 5 6 and 2 4s, so that's all bar one of his runs off those 7 shots, so that's some effort, and they didn't really need that many, so that was a comfortable win. And I'm sure Great Horton Park Chapel will be disappointed about that, but obviously Thornton will be delighted with their results. Myvenroyd, we mentioned them. They scored 260 for 6, batting first against Illingworth. And it was Matt Schofield, he got 91. Then we had Tom Conway, who added 58. And then we had Rooney Rizak, who was 47 unbeaten at the end. So a good batting performance there from Myvenroyd. And Illingworth, their response, 195 all out. Matty Smith, as always been seen, or seems that way, more gas fellows. Matty scored 74. But they started well. They got to 121 for the loss of 1 wicket, and then they lost the last 9 wickets for 74 runs and basically cost them the game. So a bit of a collapse to say the least there for Illingworth. It's not really that typical of them. So surprisingly poor result for them, but a really good result again for Myvenroyd, who are into mid-table now. Sawby Bridge, well, they batted first against Ludfoot and they were 133 all out. And other than Tim Helliwell, who scored 42 runs, was not to talk about in the batting lineup again. I think Chris Metcalf scored 16, but other than that, there wasn't a lot there. And Tom Hosker took 6 for 40. That's a good bowling performance by Tom, so well done to him. And then Luddenfoot knocked off the target. They got 136 with a loss of just 4 wickets. Jacob Whitehouse scoring more than half. He scored 75 runs to see Ludfoot home safely in that game. Bradshaw batted first against SBCI. He put on 267 for 5, and what a great acquisition Mickey Hustler's proven to be. He scored 105. I think that's his 2nd century this season, to go with 2 half centuries, I think, seems to remember. So he's having a good batting season. And Johnny Lister added 59 as well, so good all-round performance again, batting-wise from Bradshaw. SBCI, they got to 200 for 8 from their 45 overs. And Aaron CK got 64, but other than that, there wasn't much to talk about. There's a few got in and out. There were sort of like people that got in but never really got any further, and Bradshaw's bowling attack shared the wickets amongst them to get a comfortable win there by 67 runs. Triangle, they put 244 for 8 on the board when they batted first against Copley. Curtis Whippy scoring 47, he was the highest scorer for Triangle, but Gav Whip took 5 for 69 for Copley, so that kept the score down to what Copley felt would be a reasonable target to chase down. And not for the first time this season, it was Ollie Thorpe who scored 104 not out as Copley reached 247 for 6. Again, like Matty, Gaz, and Josh Hutchinson, they've all had good seasons with the bat, and Ollie and Matt have had good seasons with the ball as well. So yeah, good performance again there. So they were a reasonably comfortable victory in the end for Copley there. And then the final game from last weekend, Booth put on 229 for 6 by batting first against Whalley. Rob Laycock, 100 not out, he's having a good season as well. Richard Laycock, 59 as well, so the Laycock's doing the damage there, 159 out of a total of 229. And also at the end of the innings, Usman Sagir got 43 not out, so that's 3 good scores there. Reasonable total there. But Whalley got to 188 for 9 in response. It was James Whitworth who got 66. He was the main man in the response, but it wasn't enough. Nige Horsefall, you might think it's something to do with the devil. 6 for 66 he took, but it wasn't evil for them. It was a bit evil for Wally, unfortunately. But yeah, that's a good performance by him and a good result for Booth there. So looking at the table as it stands now, Copley are 134 points, and you've got Illingworth on 120, slide back a little bit, and then you've got Thornton and Bradshaw both on 119. So that's a very tight battle for second, third, and fourth. As I've already mentioned, Myvenroyd's form's really picking up now, and they're starting to look like they could be a threat still. They could still be an outside chance, but they have to go on a really, really good run. And at the bottom of the table, we've got, unfortunately for Great Horton Park Chapel, it's looking like a bit of a struggle for them to try and get out of the relegation spots. They are bottom. They're sort of like looking a bit anchored to the bottom at the moment. So I feel a little bit for Brownie and his team at GHPC, because obviously we're so looking forward to the season. The important thing is that they're still enjoying the cricket, even if they aren't actually winning. So that's the thing you've got to consider as to whether it's actually been, a good experience for them coming up into the top division. I'm sure they'll learn quite a bit from it. It's tough for a team coming up like they have done this year, and hopefully things will pick up as we go forward for the rest of the season, but it's going to be difficult for them. So good luck to the lads there. In terms of this weekend, the weather forecast isn't that great, to be fair, for the next few days, so we could get a few showers which may interrupt some of the games for tomorrow. Obviously we've had the heat wave this week, so it's ironic we've had all the heat during the week. It was pretty horrible on Tuesday, but I don't really like the heat at all. But yeah, we see a bit of a cooler picture this next few days. I think the temperature's going to be alright, but it might be the fact it's going to rain. To be fair, it could be an issue for tomorrow. But we'll see how it goes, and hopefully we will get enough action in. So looking at the games for tomorrow, just waiting for them to load on the screen as I talk to you now. And we've got Booth at home to Triangle. We've got Bradshaw at home to Sorby Bridge, actually, so that's the battle of my two teams. We've got Copley against SBCI, Illingworth against Great Horton Park Chapel, Bloodfoot against Myvenroyd, and Thornton against Whalley. So like I say, hopefully we'll get some good games in tomorrow. There won't be too much effect from the weather, and let's hope there's 6 good games there to look forward to. Okay, moving on from Halifax Cricket League now, we'll talk about England quickly. The transition for the one-day and T20 teams, or should I say the white ball teams, to being coached by Matthew Mott and Joss Butler's not going so well so far. They've had 7 games now, and I think they've won 2. They've lost the ODI series to India 2-1 last Sunday. The third game went against them, so they lost 2-1, and then they've lost the first game in the series against South Africa. So they won deal down there. The second game's today. I can't remember where the venue is, but I know the third match is at Headingley on Sunday, because I've got friends who are going. So hopefully they're going to strike back in these last 2 games and show that I've got, still got it. I think Joe Root described it as a perfect storm in terms of the fact of what's happened with the changeover between the manager and between the coach and the captain. You've got Ben Stokes retiring, and you've got the injuries to the bowling attack where they're missing players like Mark Wood, Chris Wokes and Joffrey Archer. And somebody else missing as well. I can't think who it is, but there's another bowler as well on the tip of my tongue who's missing from the ODI scene at the moment, who probably would sway the game for us. So not great. So I hope things pick up in these last 2 games before they go back to the Test series next month against South Africa. The ladies team, they won their first T20 match last night against South Africa, so that wraps up the multi-format series there. 10 points to ahead now, after winning all 3 of the one-day international matches in the last week or so. And now they've got 2 T20 games left, but South Africa can get us to 6 points, where England have already got 10. So well done to the ladies on winning that. In terms of Yorkshire suffered disappointment last Saturday in the T20 finals day. They put on a decent total, 204 I think it was they got when they battered, but Lancashire hit the target easily, in fairness, and they actually scored 89 for 2 up a 6 over the power play, which was really, really poor bowling from Yorkshire. Yorkshire's bowling attack is really, really weak, especially in the white ball format of the game, so they'll be looking to improve that next season, I'm sure. They brought Shannon Gabriel actually in for the 4-day games, but he's not had much of an impact in the first game. They're playing Somerset at the moment and they're struggling to hang on for a draw. I think they're like 373 runs behind or something like that going into the final day. So they're going to struggle to hang on if Somerset declare quickly and put Yorkshire in. They're going to have to bat all day. I know Taunton's normally a good batting pitch, but Yorkshire's tail end's quite weak. They've only got like 7 batsmen, and the last 3 or 4 are like number 11s effectively. So it's not very good. So disappointment. Just quickly going back to the T20 finals day, Lancashire thought they'd won it as well in the final. They thought they'd got it. And there was lots of controversy and excitement and drama at the end of the last over. They only needed like 4 runs off the last ball, and it looked like Hampshire had won actually when Ellis bowled. I think it was Gleeson. He bowled off the last ball. They were celebrating. The fireworks went off, but as it turned out, it was a no ball. So it came down to rolling the last ball again. Obviously, it would be a no ball. Lancashire only needed 2. But they couldn't make contact with the ball, couldn't Gleeson on the second attempt, and they run through for a bye, but ended up losing by 1 run. So Hampshire won by 1 run. So Lancashire had it in the control. I think it was 75 for 1. They were only chasing down something like 150. I mean, ended up losing by 1 run. So they'll be massively disappointed with that. Whether it'll carry on to the rest of the season, I'm not sure. The performance in the current county game's not so great against Nottinghamshire. Nottinghamshire, that's right. Lancashire were all out for 132 in the first innings and trailed by quite a bit, so they could be looking at a defeat here. But I think you can't really. I was looking at the county championship Division 1. You can't really look past Surrey, can you? With the form they're in, the players have got. You've got to say they're likely to win the title, but there's still a few matches to go. So I suppose you could say it's all to play for, but it isn't really. I wouldn't say, in my opinion. Okay, moving on to football now. We'll start to talk about England ladies. They beat Spain after extra time at Brighton Amex Stadium on Wednesday night in a dramatic ending. A superb strike from Georgia Stanway, seeing England home by 2-1 in a game where I've got to say I think Spain probably were a better team and they'll probably feel themselves a bit hard done to have been eliminated, especially when you've got to consider we're already missing 2 of the top players for the tournament in Alexia Putellas and Jenny Hermoso. So they've got those 2 out, but England fought hard. Be interesting to see whether, when the semi-final comes around on Tuesday, whether they stick with Ellen White or whether they go for Alessia Russo, because she's been doing really well when she's come on, and so has Ella Toon, who scored the first goal actually. So there may be some changes there. We'll see. Beth Mead had a poor first half. Sorry, Lauren Hemp had a poor first half, but she battled on and played well in the second half and extra time, so they merited keeping her on the pitch. Alex Greenwood made a difference when she came on as well. Rachel Daly was at fault for the goal, unfortunately, and I think it was the right decision to take her off and put Alex on at left back. So we'll see how the semi-final goes. It's next Tuesday. That's at Sheffield at Bramhall Lane, where they take on the winners of tonight's game between, I think it's Belgium and Sweden in their quarter-final tonight. And then the other semi-final will be between Germany, who beat Austria 2-0 last night. Austria put up a great fight, and they hit the woodwork 3 times. They were 1-0 down, then the goalkeeper made a massive error on the 90th minute, and Alex popped up, to pardon the pun, and slotted it into the net to make it 2-0. And they'll play the winners of the Netherlands against France, their quarterfinals tomorrow evening, and that semi-final will be next Wednesday. So something to look forward to there. So come on, good luck to the England ladies there. Now let's talk about men's football. We'll talk about FC Halifax Town. Where to start? We'll start with McLintock Alli. He's a new striker we've signed. He was born in Dublin, I believe, or in Ireland, and he's played for Stockport and Chorley. We've signed him. He joined us last Friday after we've done the podcast. We've also got Sam McLintock's been released, or sold should I say. He's never played for Town. He was going to be the next big white hope. I'm not sure if I can use that phrase or not, but it's a big hope anyway for Halifax. And he's never played for us, and he's been allowed to leave on a permanent deal to AFC Telford. So there's obviously something in that which we've decided not to pursue him any further and let him go to another club. Maybe he wanted to play regular football and he wasn't going to get in the first team lineup at the Shea. Or maybe it's something we've seen and decided perhaps he's not up to the level we thought he was. So he's been allowed to go on a permanent deal to AFC Telford. And the other big news last week was that Kieran Green has left to join Grimsby. You can't blame the player there. He's got a chance to play at League 2 level. He's always looked to have potential for the Town. And good luck to Kieran at Grimsby. And the other transfer news this week is more tele-related. Jamie Allen's been allowed out on loan to Love Island Series 8 from the Shaman to appear in Love Island. And he's decided that that's more important thing to him than the team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when he comes back, whether there's a place still for him at Town. I'm sure Mr. Buzzenwiffer will be talking to his lawyers as to whether they can terminate his contract, I would have thought, because he's breached it, I would say, but hey, who knows what the rules are like at our level and if there's any concrete evidence that he can be sacked. I'm not sure whether Alan's already got his agent onto it, probably, but then again, if he becomes famous with one of these girls in Love Island, then he won't need to play for Town anymore anyway. I think obviously at the end of the day, he just wants to be famous, doesn't he? He probably don't want to be a footballer, he just wants to be famous, but hey, good luck to him in a weird sort of way, but hey, less say about that better. Going back to the serious stuff there now, and Town have got a game tomorrow against Farsley. They play there at the Citadel, 3 PM Saturday afternoon, so get yourself along there if you can. We played last Saturday in the round robin matches against Hertha Berlin, 1-1 draw after 45 minutes. Hertha Berlin included some players in the team who you'll know, including Piatek, who's played for Inter Milan, I think, in Italy previously. Amongst the Derek Boyata, who's played for Manchester City and Celtic, and I believe he's a Belgian player as well. And I looked at the subs, it mentioned Jovetic, so I don't know if that's Stefan Jovetic, who used to play for Manchester City as well, but I'm sure somebody like Sam, who is watching, can confirm that for us. So that's a good result. Then played like a weakened team in the second 45 round robin game against Salford, including lots of trialists and some of the youngsters, and we lost 3-0, but it will be a good experience for them because it all took place at St George's Park, so the setup there must have been fantastic experience for all the Town boys, whatever level they're at. So yeah, see how we get on tomorrow at Farsley, and then we've got 2 games next Saturday before the season kicks off for real on the 6th of August away at Barnet. Okay, moving on to Rugby League now, and Halifax Panthers continued their good run of form. They beat Workington by 58 points to 10 at the Shea. Rested a few players, including Dan Murray, who has signed a new contract extension this week, so well done to the Panthers on tying him down for another contract. Joe Keys with the star of the game on Sunday. The Irish international scored 4 tries and 9 goals. So how many points is that? 16, 34, 44 points, something like that? 34 points. Yeah, 34 points. So that's a good performance there. I think it's some kind of scoring record, Bruce was telling me the other day, so that's well done to him. They've got London away on Sunday. A game they probably should expect to win, but they've got a lot of suspensions coming up. There's been a lot of controversy about the way the players have been treated here. Obviously they have offences in Rugby League that you've got to be punished for, but it sounds like some of the bans are ridiculous. Titus Guaze's got an 8-game ban for lifting a player up and dropping him on the floor in the game against Bradford Bulls, I think it was, going back some time now. Oh no, I don't mean that game. I can't remember. Oh no, it wasn't the Barrow, wasn't it? The Barrow game when they were on Premier Sports, and Worthington got a 3-game ban from the same match. Matty G's got a 4-game ban on top of one he's already had, so he's got 5, and there's like 5 or 6 other players have all got like 1-game bans, so they've got like a total of 20+ game suspensions coming up, starting sort of like now. So big games coming up as well, especially the one against Bradford Bulls next weekend. So disappointing that they'll miss out, but like I said, they've appealed the quasi suspension. See what happens, but I won't be confident. We don't often get overturned. So yeah, but they'll be looking for another victory this weekend. They'll have to reassess before the Bulls game at Headingley the following weekend. Okay, Rugby Union. Last weekend, the 4 international games saw 2 great victories. Ireland's historical first series victory, I think, or is it? Yeah, I think it is the first ever series victory in New Zealand. England, they come up with a 2nd consecutive series victory in Australia. So that's 2 really good results. 2-1 to Ireland, 2-1 to England. Wales came up just short in their series away to South Africa, and likewise can be said for Scotland. They came up just short in their series against Argentina, 2-1 in that one as well. So some very competitive games over the last month or so in the world of international rugby union. So well done. I think it said that Ireland might have gone to the top of the rankings as well, above France for beating New Zealand, but I aren't certain. People who follow rugby union closely will know that for definite, so you might want to make a comment, pop that below if you do know if it is a fact or not. Okay, moving on to golf and the Open, the British Open at St Andrews. That was won by Australian Cam Smith. He performed really well under pressure on the last day, fending off challenges from both Cameron Young and also Rory McIlroy. He did a birdie on the last hole. I think he hit the green on all 18 holes on the last round. That's some achievement, is that, in golf. I'm not a massive golf fan. I do follow roughly what goes on, but that's some quality play, I believe. And the only unfortunate thing was after he won it, the first question was, are you going to be joining Live Golf? But we're not going to talk about politics here. So well done for the time being for Cam Smith. The other big news in golf this week was that Henrik Stenson, the Ryder Cup captain for next year, has chosen to join Live Golf, so he's been stripped of the captaincy. So now the PGA, the British PGA European Tour, you might have to say, get it right in a minute, will be looking for a new captain. So disappointing that they've had to go down that route, but it's all politics, and I don't really want to go into that here. Next, Speedway, and in the British Premiership, Ipswich maintain their lead at the top of the table. Last night they beat Sheffield comfortably in the end by 54 points to 36. Jason Doyle scored a faultless 15-point maximum there. Very close at halfway, 25 points to 23, but Ipswich pulled away massively in the second half of the meeting. Good to see Tom Brennan guesting for Ipswich and scoring 8 in a bonus, I think it was, for them. So a good performance from Tom. Also Troy Batchelor, I think he scored 8 to 9 as well, and a couple of bonus, maybe 3 bonus. For Sheffield, not only really Adam Ellis got going, he got 11 in a bonus, but he did have 7 rides, which is not that great, to be fair. They were missing Tobias Musilak as well, so disappointing from there, but not the best performance from Sheffield there. They were disappointed about that. So Ipswich have extended the lead at the top of the table to 5 points now ahead of Bellevue. Bellevue back in action on Monday, home to Peterborough. Fancy chances of beating Peterborough, having a poor season. The champions look like they aren't going to make the playoffs. They're closing the gap to the top 4 a little bit, but it looks to be a done deal for the top 4, as I've mentioned in previous week's podcasts. In terms of the 4 teams that are there at the moment, Ipswich, Bellevue, Wolves and Sheffield look like the teams that are going to make the playoffs. There are 7 or 8 matches to go at least for most teams yet, so that can change, but we'll see what happens. In terms of the Premier League Premiership pairs, Ipswich also won the 4th round of that at Wolverhampton, so they've more or less sealed that as well. They beat Bellevue in the final. Bellevue led the qualifiers, and then they got beaten by Doyle and Batchelor, I think it was, in the final. Kurtz and Frick had been unbeaten to that point, won all 5 of his heats. Him and Brady Kurtz were beaten in the final. So there's 2 rounds to go, one at Sheffield, one at Bellevue, but if Ipswich get any more points, basically it's going to be meaningless as the last round. I'm looking forward to going to that, but it might be pointless. So anyway, we'll see what happens there. And then finally, we're going to talk about, well, actually I thought something else, but the main subject, stock cars. This weekend's European Championships at Northampton International Raceway. Tom Harris, defending world champion and also defending European champion, tries to defend his title. 54 cars were booked in when I looked at the booking list last night. All the top guys are there with the exception of Ryan Harrison. Whether he's away or whether he's just going to book in at the last minute, I'm not sure. The top Dutch guys, Niels and Yellow Tesla, are both booked in at Tech Park, so hopefully it'll be a good weekend and we'll get a good weekend's racing there. And then there's just one final thing I wanted to mention before I finish, which is disappointing news, was in the World Athletics Championship. I stayed up especially to watch Max Burgin run in his heat of 800 metres, but unfortunately, unbeknown to me, and really very devastatingly for Max, he suffered an injury in the warm-up. He had a tweak. He'd already got a few little niggles apparently, but he pulled up with a calf problem, and he had to pull out of the World Championship. So he's going to be absolutely devastated. He must have been the favourite to win it, having set the fastest time in the world this year. So speedy recovery, Max. If you're watching, hope you'll be recovered in time to take part in the Commonwealth Games, and I think there's also the European Championships coming as well. So hopefully, it won't set him back too much, and he'll have a chance of some glory this season, even though he'll be massively disappointed about what happened in Eugene this week. Also, I want to say well done to Jake Whiteman, who won the 1500 metres. Bit of a surprise winner. He couldn't believe it. I saw him going over the line. He's going, oh my god. He couldn't believe he'd won it. He had, and his dad were doing commentary at the time, and he was really professional, as though he tried to sort of separate himself in a situation where he must have been really, really proud of his son inside. So well done to Jake. Congratulations on the gold there in the 1500 metres. Also in the ladies 1500 metres, well done to Laura Muir on taking the bronze medal. So I think that's just about it. It's gone on a bit this weekend, sorry about that, but there's been so much to get through. I hope you've enjoyed watching as always. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe on YouTube. All watchers help me, and grow the channel eventually. So thanks for watching, and until next Friday, it's bye from me.